Well, well, well. Here we go. I hope you're ready for some indoctrination. Because ready or not, here it comes. I just loaded up the talk, so we're over on the talk as well. I know some of you don't like it, but we're doing pretty good over there. Can get me over 500 here in the next little minute. Get me over 500 here in the next little minute. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower. I just saluted you for being here, seeking after truth. And we're coming to you tonight live from an undisclosed location in the American heartland. Undisclosed because a lot of you is crazy as hell. And I'm a little bit afraid to let you know where I'm at. Little bit afraid to let you know where I'm at. So anyway, we're here, and tonight it's the Saturn Moon Matrix re-examined. The Saturn Moon Matrix re-examined. I'm a 25-year ex-minister. I'm a Bible college graduate. I got over 200,000 hours of study in the Greek and Hebrew New Testaments when most people that call themselves Christians haven't even read the whole book once. So I know what I'm talking about. Carmen brings up the violet flame. You know, we've been doing those violet flame meditations. And last night, as I was doing one in bed before I went to sleep, I actually saw the violet flame. I mean, boom, there it was. The violet flame. So this is really exciting. Now remember, whether you're watching on TikTok or Facebook or X or YouTube, I am not here to tell you what to think. I'm just here to try to get you to think, because I feel that you deserve all the information. You deserve all the information, and you can decide what you want to do with it. I'm just the mailman. I just bring the mail. That's all I do. I put the mail in mailman. Take that any way you want. I'm the Christian whistleblower, the OG of disclosing the Christian matrix, and I'm often imitated, but never duplicated. So let's go ahead and jump into this tonight. I think you're really going to enjoy the D program. I know I am. So they call me House MD, but it means MDiv. I'm the Master of Divinity, baby. And I've been since 1999 diagnosing spiritual anomalies, specifically within the Judeo-Christian matrix. You know, Super Galactic sent me a message, and I appreciated it. So I think we need to get into Egyptian. We needed to get into Babylonian. We need to get into all that stuff. I know. But I'm the Christian whistleblower. So I stay in my lane, and I go to those other places when my lane takes me there. But I specialize in, you know, the way that I got the Christian whistleblower is the first time I was on Coast to Coast AM. I've been on more than a dozen times as a guest. And somebody called in and said, "You're the Edward Snowden of the New Testament. You're a traitor." And my mind went to work, and so did George Norris. He said the same thing. Edward Snowden was a whistleblower. He was an NSA whistleblower. I know about the Christian matrix, so I'm the Christian whistleblower. And for those of you that want to write in, because you can't even read the description on my channel, "You're not a real Christian." I just told you I'm not a Christian. "You're an atheist." Nope. I believe in the Most High God. And I appreciate all of you being here tonight. Salute to you for being here seeking after truth. And that's what I do, baby. We talk about the patterns. We talk about the symbols. We talk about the myths. We talk about the history. We talk about the truth. Genesis 6, sons of God, watchers, Nephilim, Enoch, Melchizedek, Mithra, Odin, and more, because the answers are rarely ever on the surface. We look at the hidden patterns, the symbols, the esoteric history, the anomalies, and we go deep, baby. Just ask Cynthia. We go deep into hidden and forbidden knowledge. And Cynthia's been in Florida for about a week. She's back. So if I sound kind of giddy tonight, it's because I am. I'm so glad that she is back. So I'm House MDiv, and I got to go where I got to go. And some of you don't like some of the places I go. I get it. But I got to bring you the truth, even if it gets me laughed at, sneered at, yelled at. I haven't had a death threat in about a month. I'm feeling a little, perturbed by that because usually I get a death threat a month. I get a couple a month. And now I've only got, none in a month. So I'm wondering if I'm not as dangerous as I used to be. Alethea says she's been enjoying Jeff's deprogram since 2017. She remembers the long hair days. Well, guess what, Alethea? The long hair days are coming back. The long hair days are coming back, baby. They are. And if you haven't guessed yet, Her Majesty is Cynthia. So, yeah, she's back. She's better than ever. And, I don't like being away from her, but when she goes away or I go away, usually I go away and I'm busy, so I don't have a lot of chance to miss her. But she went away this time and I missed her. I missed her really, really badly. And that's good because it's been almost 8 years and I still miss her. And then the cool thing is that when she shows up, after being gone for about a week, I remember how hot she is. I remember what a lucky guy I am. Hot, smart, cute, sexy. She's the whole thing. There's still a couple things I wish I could get her to do. I wish I could get her to cold plunge. She just can't do it. I wish I could get her in the relaxed sauna. She just can't do it. But man, it makes so much difference in her life. Don't worry, that's not a huge creature back there. That's just Rooney walking in front of one of my stylish studio lights. I know what you're talking about, Super G. He says, not everybody can walk honestly, Jeff. Not everybody can do brutal honesty because it doesn't pay. I got to work, man. I still got to work. So, boom, here we go. House M Div, baby. Are you ready for this?
Your hair will need to grow longer, male or female. Doesn't matter. You need to grow your hair longer. Well, what's the hair got to do with this? Well, I want you to understand that hair is connected to the 7th chakra. The 7th chakra is the top of the pyramid of your body. This is where all the energy comes out during a Kundalini activation or awakening. As that Kundalini comes out, it flows down the hollow tubes that each hair is, the keratin that each hair is made of. And it flows down, and the more hair you have, the longer you have it, the greater level of spark and energy that your Kundalini will give off.
It sounds kind of weird. Is that who cares, But I feel it, man. I feel it in my bones. So I am growing the hair out. Cynthia's not super excited about that. But just wait till that sexiness hits. And then she'll be like, wow, you're right. And I think it'll make me better. It'll make me a better broadcaster. It'll make me a more intuitive, empathetic. And just because you're an empath doesn't mean you got to be a pushover. Empath just means you can feel the stuff. So I'm going to do it, man. I'm going to do it. I'm growing out the hair, as you've noticed. And, I don't know if I'll ever get it cut again. Cynthia's like, oh, no. But it's true. I'm doing it. Sorry, babe. I saw that too, Uncle. I'm thinking, this dude's talking about you got to have long hair and he's got short hair. I understand why it's short on top. And I want you to know mine's not. This light kind of makes it look like I'm losing a little, but I'm not. I noticed that too, Uncle. I thought that's kind of weird. Why doesn't he have long hair? But hey, it takes a while for people to get some places. But I'm a guy that, I believe in evidence. That's why I'm not a Christian anymore. Because there's no evidence outside the Bible for Christianity. There's no evidence outside the Bible for Jesus. I know I'm talking a little fast, but I'm excited. Cynthia's home, all that good stuff. And she's got a little bit of a medical thing, minor medical thing. But can we pause just for about 5 seconds? And I want y'all to stretch forth your hands towards the TV set and just send some good intentions to Cynthia. Good intentions, healing intentions. Boom, 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 bam. Thank you so very much for that. We need it, all we can get. So from the I go where I got to go department, even if it makes me the object of ridicule at times, I think, yeah. Are you ready?
So they told you that urine was just a waste product and it has no uses. But did you know urine contains thousands of undifferentiated stem cells, meaning they don't yet have a form and can turn into organs, nerves, muscles, or skin, anything the body needs. These cells become even more potent if you let the urine sit in a dark, cool glass container for a month, creating hundreds of thousands of stem cells. It's true, and the ancients have used this for thousands of years. Regarding usage, only collect the midstream of your first morning urine to avoid the waste found in the initial flow. People are told it's toxic, but after that initial flow, it's rich in stem cells. It's essentially liquid gold.
I know what you're thinking, but I'm a guy that believes in the evidence. I researched this. They did studies. They did actual, let's go to the laboratory and check it out. Thousands of undifferentiated stem cells. Do you know what that means? That means if your body's lacking in muscle, those undifferentiated stem cells get into your body and they get made to muscle cells. If you have a history of dementia and Alzheimer's in your family, like I do, those undifferentiated stem cells get into your body. Your body says, oh, we need to make some more brain cells. If you're And some of you, especially you Christians, you need some help with your brain cells, please. So I continue to this day to take crap about urine therapy. Heathens have been doing it for thousands of years. I haven't been doing it for a few years because I thought with the keto diet that I'm on, it's all just waste. But I realize now it's that first part of your stream, not this stream, it's a different stream. But when you catch the middle part, thousands of stem cells, undifferentiated stem cells that could be made into anything you need, anything your body needs. Now, a lot of you guys got no problem with shooting tequila, shooting vodka, drinking beers. Oh, it tastes gross. You don't care about that. But when we start talking about this, oh, now you're so bad. Everything's terrible, right? Everything's terrible. So Kylie says it's a hard pass, but you just wait. Man, what do you do with the urine? Asked Linda Fisk. What do you do with it? Well, what you do is you catch that middle stream of your morning urine like that. You catch that middle stream of the morning urine, your first urine of the morning. You get up, first thing you do, put you a little cup. And then what do you do with it? What do you do with it? And you didn't know, says Super Galactic, if you're drinking alcohol, you're drinking horse urine. I don't know if that's totally true, but I don't know if it's totally true. But do you know people pay tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars for stem cells? And stem cells come from usually aborted babies. Sometimes just the what's that cord called? I've cut 3 of them. I should remember. Umbilical cord. Sometimes they take it out of there. But look, thousands of undifferentiated stem cells, which your body can take and make into anything you need. Who knows more what you need than your body? So you take the urine, you stir, you swill it around, and that was a really good year. Right down the hatch, baby. Right down the hatch. So now you can spend the rest of the D program wondering, did he really just drink urine, his own urine, on live TV? Did he? I'm telling you, folks, do you really want to optimize? Do you really want to optimize your health? You don't have to. It's up to you. And look at me. I didn't even fall out. So all you people that want to make fun of me, go ahead. Cynthia, you know me. You know me. You know me. And you know I don't go halfway. So there's a reason why all you people that make fun of me look like you do. And I look like I do. 63, still sexy. Just keep telling yourself that, sweetheart. Just keep telling. See, there it is. There's 3 things that she won't do. She says, nope, I'd rather die. Well, I wish you'd change your mind, honey, but I know better than to try to talk you out of it. Kylie says, I'd rather die. Kylie, I love you. I wish you would. Did I fall out? Did I gag? Of course, I got a super clean diet, so it doesn't really taste like anything. But I'm telling you, I'm just trying to help you do what you want. Do what you want. It's up to you. So we always hit some follow up from our Yes TikTok. I just did that. I'm trying to help you, brothers and sisters, out. And you can wonder for the rest of the deep program, but I already told you what I did. So Super Galactic said, and this moves into our deep program tonight. Super Galactic. He said that when people hear the rings of Saturn, they immediately conditioned to think of something dark, evil, creepy, frightening. And the same thing happens when they hear the sounds that NASA played from Saturn. There's a psychological association that's implanted into people's minds before they even thought to question it. You should at least try it. See, Linda Fisk is open minded. You should at least try it. You should at least try it. Yes, you can, where where few dare to tread. I just did it. Yes, it looks like apple juice. I can't drink apple juice. That's full of carbohydrates. Thousands of stem cells coursing through my body. So is that part of the real psyop, the Super Galactic asks? If it's NASA, Dead Wolf, you're a good man. Dead Wolf's going to be my new guru because I'm getting now into HEMA, Historic European Martial Arts. I wanted to play hockey so bad. Cynthia doesn't even know it, but man, I was so close to playing hockey again. But I'm going to get into the Historic European Martial Arts, which mainly means sword play, knives, things like that. I saved it from this morning, baby. I saved it from this morning. It doesn't have to be the first morning, but that's the best. So anyway, I saved it. NASA, Christians, New Agers, Flat Earthers, they've all tried to reinforce this same space is fake and gay agenda. I'm going to come up and kiss you right after this deep program. I'm going to come up. Oh, look at this. Party blue. Urine therapy is why I don't fear ticks. It helps stop allergic reactions. Oh, you'd rather have Lyme disease? You'd rather get all this stuff? Would you rather? Yes, Steve says he's going to send me a sword. I am starting with the heavy club, I think they're called. So I'm going to go big on this. I love Highlander anyway, right? So yeah, we're going to get into where you should follow your people. But anyway, they have the same narrative. Saturn equals darkness, Saturn equals Satan, Saturn equals fear. What if we've been taught to associate Saturn with darkness for reasons that we've never even stopped to think about? What if, baby? What if? Cynthia says she's going to sleep on the sofa. What if? We're just asking what ifs here. And then Colleen weighed in with some really super cool stuff. She said it was a great deep program. Thank you. Her 2 cents worth. We showed Rabbi Laitman's video that said that they came from another place. They invaded Earth. They want to take over Earth, right? They're secret agents, just like Jason Bourne. She says, yes, they're sleeper cells. There are Abrahamic sleeper cells across the United States right now. We all know and worry. Sorry for the nicotine cough there. It's just when you first put in a new pouch, it kind of hits you a little bit hard. And I can't get anybody to let me be an affiliate for nicotine, but on my YouTube channel, there's a link in my post that if you want to get some nicotine pouches, try them out. If you're trying to lose weight, they're freaking amazing. I put a link in there, and if you click on that link, you can get, I think, $30 off your first order. You get reduced, and I don't get any money, but I get points. So hopefully I can get my nicotine pouches free. So Colleen said that yes, there's sleeper cells, but there's also Christian sleeper cells. There's also Proto-Abrahamic sleeper cells in the United States right now. And she says this: did the golden age start on the first day? And because we talk to everybody, and don't have to agree with me, Escaping the Lie says, I get psyop vibes from the urine therapy thing. Well, do you know that Jesus even said to drink urine? It's in the Bible. Maybe someday we'll talk about it. All I know is there's thousands of undifferentiated stem cells coursing through my body right now. If my back is hurting, my knees are hurting, my hips are hurting, I gave you a litany of my injuries for non-human or non-European martial arts that I did for too long and playing ice hockey. So, you know, maybe they're laughing at us because we won't do urine therapy, but we're all right to drink all of their potions and swallow all of their pills. And we're all right to drink alcohol that we know is terrible for us. Maybe that's what they're really laughing at. This is a deep program of discussion, TikTok. This is a deep program of discussion. If there's anybody watching on Facebook, X, this is a deep program of discussion. And of course, you here on YouTube know too. So Saturn was the golden age god. And Colleen says, what if the golden age started on the first day that the Bible records? Because he said, let there be light, and there was light. Of course, that was the Elohim, which are gods and goddesses, multiple, male and female, more than one. But you Christians believe it was God. Well, riddle me this. If there was light on the first day, and the sun wasn't created till the fourth day, where did that light come from? That means there must have been light before the sun. Was that the purple dawn? Was that the purple dawn? Plants and trees were growing on the third day with no sun? How's that possible? The sun, not only was Saturn the sun in the golden age, the sky looked very different. Watch our last deep program. You'll see a picture of what it looked like. But Saturn was the god of agriculture, plants, trees, harvest. What makes them grow? Light. And even the Bible kosher discloses to us. They kosher disclose us. Yeah, Linda, I'll show this because this is really good. She says, yeah, but escaping the lies means studying. It means working. There's many, many studies. And do you know that if you use any of these face lotions, what are they filled with? Urine. They are. Why? Because it makes you look like this when you're 63. But if you want to look all wrinkled up, toe up from the flow up, it's up to you. I'm just trying to help a brother and a sister out. That's it, man. Just trying to help a brother and sister out. So was Saturn the light? Is this kosher disclosure? I think it might be. And remember Saturn, they turned it into Saturday, the seventh day of the week, which was the, acne. If you have bad acne, put that stuff on you. Do you know it's sterile? It's sterile. Come on, man. But now they've connected Saturn to the seventh day. But was it the original sun day? Come on now. Christianity wants to connect their God to the sun when he wasn't the God of the sun because it was already light before he got it done. And by the way, Christians say their God created everything in 6 days. Day, which is word 3117 in your Hebrew, means an age or a period of time. Guess what? It's kosher disclosure of the golden age. Kosher disclosure of the golden age. I'm trying to help you out. I'm laying it down. You don't have to pick it up. I just deliver the mail. And if you look at it, here's the Hebrew word. It means yom. The first usage of it is age. Golden age. I'm trying to help you out. And it was followed by Monday, Daryl's telling us. What was Monday? Moon Day. Boom. Boom. I'm just trying to help you get deep. So Anthony wrote in and he said, here's what I've been thinking. There are countries that have banned Satanism, given it an extremist definition, including Russia. Oh, Jeff, that's good. They banned that religion. They banned Satanism. Well, do you know, I agree with Anthony. He says, if they can ban one religion, they can ban any religion. And when Texas is mandating the 10 Commandments in every classroom, when they're mandating Bible content from grades kindergarten through high school, it should make you stop and wonder. When religious authority gets welded back onto state power, backed by law and force instead of faith or persuasion, I know you Christians would love that, but some of us want to live divine, sovereign, and free. Some of us don't want to be told who we have to bend the knee to. And what if Sodom and Gomorrah wasn't about sexual perversions? Because, everything they tell us that is true is false. Everything they tell us is false that is true. What if Sodom and Gomorrah was just people waking up to their own divinity and not worshiping Yahweh, and he couldn't stand it? Tower of Babel, I've done deep programs on that. It was about humanity saying, we're done with you, Yahweh. Yahweh throwing a temper tantrum. I'm telling you, folks, there's nothing that the God of the Bible, who I lovingly call the rat bastard, there's nothing that he hates more than humans gaining knowledge. Nothing. And the lovely Cynthia dropped this one on us. For nearly 2,600 years, they say, scholars, engineers, theologians have wondered and argued about what Ezekiel saw, the Ezekiel's wheel. I've shown you those creepy pictures. Maybe some angels are demons, but what did Ezekiel really see? The debate has raged. Until now, we had a team of remote viewers. I know some of you don't like remote viewing, but these guys, aren't they called future forecasters, Cynthia? Man, they have hit on things that are so big. See, even the lovely Cynthia doesn't always agree with me. And one reason why our relationship is so good, because I give her the complete right to be wrong. She has the right to be wrong. She says it's to combat Muslims. Is it? They worship the same God, Cynthia. If you look in the Quran, it's the same characters that are in the Bible. Or are they just trying to set us up? It's called divide and conquer. Oh, they're afraid of the Muslims, so let's sneak our version of the same religion in. But hey, we love each other, but we don't have to totally agree with each other. And that looks creepy as hell. Oh, the all-seeing eye, it's terrible. Except when you see it in the Bible, then it's good. Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. So here's what future forecasters found. I'll show you this big on the screen. Blind studies. Every single viewer independently produced circular, spherical structures. Every single viewer saw rotating structures without mechanical joints. Every viewer placed a lone male life form in the center of it. Every viewer noted an energetic exchange directed downward. Not one viewer described a divine vision. Not one viewer described a religious experience. Every single one of them showed a physical encounter with technology. So the data does not support the Bible saying, oh, it was divine. It doesn't support it. The encounter appears physical, technological. And the interpretation that followed, biblical, prophetic, divine, well, it appears that that's what happens when an Iron Age observer that doesn't know what the heck these things are uses the only concepts that are available to them in their vocabulary. And one of the studiers they referenced said, this is what those people that wrote Ezekiel were saying. I don't have the words for this. I'm describing it in the only language that I was built to use. And if you look at that eye with those wheels, you read Ezekiel again, the Christians are telling us aliens are demons. Well, maybe some aliens are demons. Maybe some aliens are demons. And I can't, most people say, I hate to say I told you so. I love to say I told you so. Do you know what an undifferentiated stem cell is? It's a stem cell that hasn't yet been specialized into a particular type of cell. It's a blank slate. It has the potential to become any kind of cell your body needs it to be, depending upon the signals it receives. They have two remarkable abilities. They're self renewing. They divide, they produce more stem cells, they maintain their population. People pay tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars for stem cells. And I just got, where'd my glass go? I just got thousands of stem cells into my body. Oh, there's a little left. That was a very good year. That was a very good year. Just by doing urine therapy on live YouTube, live X, live TikTok, live Facebook. And they also are able to differentiate. So if your body says, I need muscle cells, boom, it's a muscle cell. If your body says, oh, you need skin cells because you're looking a little toe up from the flow up, and Jeff 63, sexier than ever, skin cells. If you have dementia and Alzheimer's in your family like I do, my dad died of it. Now my mom's sick of it. Ooh, better make some brain cells. If you got problems with your blood, if you got immunodeficiencies, I don't know who I said that for. Boom, your body says, let's make some more white blood cells. If you are all right drinking vodka, but you're not all right drinking urine and your liver's having trouble, it can make liver cells. If your bones are getting brittle because you're getting old or you got some other condition, boom, they can become bone cells. So I told you so. I've been telling you for a long time. Go ahead and laugh and point and make your jokes. But this is me at 63. How you looking out there? How do you look, huh? Look in the mirror. You got a forehead like that with no lines. You got no crow's feet. You got skin like a baby. I bet my wife's hotter than your wife. I'm just saying. You know, this is entertainment purposes only, right? Nitrogen. Yeah, man. I'm just saying, I told you so. I told you so. So, whatever your body tells it to become, it becomes. Heart problems becomes a heart cell. Fighting off cancers or anything else that gets in your body become a white blood cell. The genes are turned on and off in carefully controlled patterns, guiding the cell down a particular developmental pathway. You can put thousands of them in your body every single day if you want to. You can pay tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars for them if you want to. Or you can just do what I do and let your body turn these stem cells into what your body knows it needs. It's up to you. I'll get off that hobby horse. Repair and maintenance, maybe not yet. Your body continually replaces worn out skin, blood, intestinal cells using adult stem cells. And you'll run out of those because you only get a certain number. Reminds me of a story that, I used to back in the day when we were still monetized on TikTok or on YouTube. I had this affiliate, which was a stem cell company. And we went down and we looked at it, and they took them out of the cords that I cut 3 times, the umbilical cords. And I got $4,000 or $5,000 in just a couple months. But then some other guy that was pretending to be my friend tells the owner of this company, who was a Christian, do you know that Jeff says that Jesus was into PDF? So she cut me off. So I learned a couple of lessons there. But the undifferentiated stem cell becomes whatever your body needs it to be. And urine therapy gives your body an inexhaustible supply of your own body's most versatile and important building blocks. Your urine is literally worth tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars if you decide to use it. Maybe you'll just think about it for a minute. And let's face it, you've tasted a lot of worse stuff. Pretend you're on one of them game shows. And they're going to give you tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to drink just a little bit. Boop. Now, one thing I haven't done is to save it for a month. That sounds a little, it might be a little more, potent, I guess. But you know what? I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do the science. Blake says he uses urine topically. It really jacked him when he ingested it. It's great for rinsing hands, rinsing body. He looks 30. He's going on 40. So you can follow the evidence, or you can allow yourself to get into an Abrahamic's mindset and say, no, I'm not going to do it. It's gross. But go ahead and laugh at me, because you laugh at me, you make fun of me. I just go look in the mirror. I'm like, yeah, I don't care what those guys say. I don't care what those guys say. Jama's grandmother used to use the kids' urine to treat their earaches, and they went away. Imagine that. So I told you so. I told you.
So they told you that urine was just a waste product and it has no uses. But did you know urine contains thousands of undifferentiated stem cells, meaning they don't yet have a form and can turn into organs, nerves, muscles, or skin, anything the body needs. These cells become even more potent if you let the urine sit in a dark, cool glass container for a month, creating hundreds of thousands of stem cells. It's true. And the ancients have used this for thousands of years. Regarding usage, only collect the midstream of your first morning urine to avoid the waste found
Very
in the
important.
initial flow. People are told it's toxic, but after that initial flow, it's rich in stem cells. It's essentially liquid gold.
And it's worth cash money, and it's worth stuff you can never get for your health. So let's roll on with the deprogram. Enough of that.
She is absolutely right. I co-sign her.
Everybody wants to scream about racism without talking about the real daggum issue, character. Every race has salt of the earth people, just good, common sense, down to the earth people. And every race also has the embarrassments to society, the degenerates. Every race has men and women out here busting their asses, raising their families, building businesses, helping in their communities, just trying to make the world just a little bit better than what it was when they came into it. And every race also has people who are loud, ignorant, being garbage isn't exclusive to one skin tone. To anybody who is out here running around and being disrespectful and hateful to people for no damn reason, and you want to hide behind the free speech, you are trash. All you're doing is pouring gasoline onto the division that we already have. You are making this world more toxic. Some of y'all people weaponize racism as a shield from accountability every time somebody calls you out for your bad behavior. Bad behavior exists in every race. Violence exists in every race. Trash, it exists in every race. Your skin color does not make you honorable. Your character.
Bam. We are not alone. And I get in trouble with some of the people within our genre because they think just because you're white, you're right. No, there's a reason for the term white trash. And Cynthia and I constantly meet people of other races that are just as fed up. I get emails and messages every day from people of other races beyond mine that are just as sick of the Judeo-Christian fear and guilt mind matrix as I am. And then you got trash like Andrew Wilson, who's on this deprogram. You showed me, you saw me We were in a debate, and I said, you will shoot us in the back. You pretend to like us, but you Christians will shoot us in the back. And you know what Andrew Wilson said? He said, yes, we'll do it in a second. And then he repeated it, in a second. And you love Trader Point USA, Turning Point USA. Guess who Turning Point USA just hired to teach their people how to debate? That little chain-smoking troll, Andrew Wilson. And he calls it blood sport debating because they don't try to debate. They do things like turn off the noise cancellation on their microphone so when they yell, they can drown out the other person. They do things, and Jay Dyer does it too. If you come on his show and he doesn't agree with you, they turn down your sound real low and pretend like they can't hear you. The reason why Trader Point USA hired Andrew Wilson, who's afraid of me, will not get on the camera with me anymore because I exposed him for who he is because they're terrified. I should have clipped it. I'll do it for the next E program. They're terrified of an actual interchange of truth because they lose. They lose. So don't ever talk to me about how good Turning Point USA is again. It's a terrible, terrible organization that just wants to dominate your thoughts. They want to tell you who you have to worship, how you have to worship, or they're on record for saying they would execute you. There's good people in all races. We are not alone, and I will stand behind that if I have 10 people on my live streams. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
So does this make you heartless?
You can't save other people from their own suffering. It's a big lesson to learn. It takes a long time to learn. You've got to leave people free to suffer. If they ask for your help, that's one thing. I don't have a right to come up to you on the street and start to harangue you because you're too busy being your ego. That's none of my business, even if it's your child, even if it's your spouse.
And that right there is an uncomfortable truth. Because a lot of times in these situations, your intervention is about you managing your anxiety about the situation. The people in your life that are the hardest to leave alone are the ones whose suffering makes you uncomfortable. I mean, you could love somebody at full capacity and still not carry what belongs to them. Because consent is what separates support from control. And let's keep it a buck. Sometimes when you interrupt somebody's pain, you're delaying the lesson. Because the kindest thing is going to seem like the cruelest thing until you fully understand just how growth works. Some people need to hit rock bottom, and sometimes the best thing you could do is still be standing when they get back up.
Black guy dropping bombs, truth bombs. We got black people. We got brown people. We got other brown people. We got red people. We got yellow people. Just as sick of this nonsense as we are. And some of you get mad at me because I say I'd rather work with other races than white trash. Well, go ahead and get mad at me. And I get asked, why aren't you still streaming on GTV? And I need to address this because somebody sent me an email that said, are you saying that HT is bad? Are you saying that HT is a Fed? No, HT is a friend of mine. I don't agree with everything that HT does. I wouldn't do some of the things HT does. And he doesn't agree with me on some things. But at this point, every time I go on Goyim, half the damn thing is people telling me how stupid I am and horrible I am. And the other half is me making people mad. So I support his work, but we have different jobs. So that's just the way it is. I thought that I should probably get that out there. But no, I don't think HT is a Fed. HT is a friend of mine. I don't agree with some of his tactics. But anybody that can think their way out of the Judeo-Christian matrix is a person that I'm willing to say there's a thinker. I think HT is seeking the truth. And I'll leave it at that.
I don't know if I should laugh or be thankful that I finally understand what the fuck's going on.
When your identity is your ideology, congratulations, you've officially screwed yourself, because now it's not just an idea, now it's you. And when the idea gets challenged, you don't hear disagreement, you hear an attack. So what do? You build a bubble, a nice, soft, padded little bubble where everyone agrees with you, uses the same words, hates the same people, and claps at the exact right moments. And you will defend that bubble at all costs, even if it makes you sound incredibly stupid. Facts don't matter anymore. Logic's gone. Humor? Dead. Because admitting you're wrong would mean admitting you are wrong, and that's unacceptable. So you double down, louder, angrier, dumber. And that's how you end up defending nonsense like it's sacred scripture, not because it's true, but because without it, you'd have to actually develop a personality.
George Carlin just described the Judeo-Christian fear and guilt mind matrix perfectly. Perfectly. And that's why they hired the little troll, the little chain-smoking troll that's afraid of me. If he's afraid of me and you need help learning to debate, hire me, because I'm obviously better than him because he's afraid of me. Dyer's afraid of me. Hire me. Hire the guy they're afraid of. And I can open a pickle jar, just so you know. But that describes Christianity. When they can't win the argument, they go to blood sport debating and hire chain-smoking trolls with tiny forearms to teach them how to avoid actually having to answer questions, and they outlaw the questioning of answers. I'm against that.
Now, dude, we're going to do a deep dive, and some of this is going to blow your mind. Just track with me, dude. The whole LGBT movement, what you got to understand is it honestly, and I'm going to use some like sharp language, it functions like a sex cult, actually like an alternate religion, and there's a reason for that. This is very biblical. So let me take you back. The whole rainbow flag that they try to get these dudes to put on their cap, it originated in 1978. It was created by a gay drag queen artist. I got the guy's name here somewhere. I can't find it. He was associated with a guy named Harvey Milk that dabbled in like even pedophilia stuff and like super nasty stuff. But he was a gay drag queen artist. He created.
He's getting a little platform unfriendly for me, so I wanted to get off of that. But his basic point is that they stole the rainbow, and they're bad people because they stole the rainbow. But this guy's a Christian, and he doesn't mind the fact that every single Christian holiday they stole from heathens. He doesn't mind the fact that the very word gospel they stole from heathens. The word gospel, when it was originally coined, meant the good news of the victory of heathens. They stole it. They stole the word evangelize. That means spreading the news, the good news of the victories of the heathens. So they steal our words, they steal our holidays, but this guy with the Bass Pro Shop hat on wants to say that the LGBTQ people are bad because they stole their rainbow. It wasn't their rainbow. It was the rainbow of the gods and goddesses, male and female, more than one. And remember what the rainbow was for? That was the Bible God promising you that he never destroyed the whole world again in a temper tantrum, when he tried to do it at least twice before. Do you really believe this? How many Christian absurdities have to stack up before you start asking questions and questioning answers? It's just a question.
These leftists, man, they never make any sense. Ever. I kind of envy the Democrat Party and how they were able to brainwash so many people. Because when you start asking these people questions, they don't even know what to say. It's honestly quite amazing. They just repeat what they've been told.
Is he talking about Christian
like the
or leftist?
Or it's kind of weird.
Do you think President Trump is a fascist?
Yes.
Why is President Trump a fascist?
I'm not sure how to answer that.
Well, what is fascism?
Can you prove outside the Bible that Jesus exists? Well, no. Can you prove that the Bible's real with anything other than the Bible? Well, no. It's the same thing. But you Christians will dog the leftists but you act just like him. Even the guy that your leading organization, Turning Point USA, hired to teach them how to debate, who's afraid of me. If he's afraid of me, hire me. I'm better than him. Even he has to resort to what he calls blood sport debate tactics, not to win debates, but to stifle discussion. She does look weird, but she's kind of hot. Just a little bit. Can I say that? Is that bad?
This video.
One of my friends said to me, he goes, I just can't believe in a God that would send me to hell just because I don't believe in him. I said, why is that? And he goes, because that's an ultimatum. Believe in Jesus or go to hell. That sounds manipulative. I said, let me ask you something. If a building is already on fire and someone kicks the door open and says, come out, this is the only way.
The building's not on fire. They're lying to you that the building is on fire. It's not on fire.
Is that an ultimatum or is it a rescue? He said, what do you mean? I said, well, you were already going to hell.
Says who? Who says I was going to hell? The Bible, that you can't prove is real outside of the Bible, and the Jesus that you can't prove was real outside of the Bible. They gave you the sin, and then they say, do it our way, and we'll save you from the sin they gave you. What if you don't have original sin? What if you've got the spark of divinity within? What if you don't need to go on bended knee to somebody else's Savior to save you from the sin they gave you? What if you are divine, sovereign, and free? What if? What if? What if?
I was already going to hell.
No, you weren't.
That's not God being cruel. That's humanity choosing sin. And that's justice.
Do you hear what he just said? He said it's all right to throw people in a lake of fire if they don't agree with their God. Is that okay with you? Is that okay with you? And this leads right into our deprogram.
5 signs we're living in the end times. Jesus said these signs would appear before he returns, and every single one of them is happening right now. Not someday, but right now. I'm going to give you 5, and number 5 is the one he warned us about the most. Sign 1, Israel is a nation again. Jesus said in Luke 21:24, Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but we showed you in the last deprogram or the one before that, that Jerusalem trodden down by the Gentiles was the Roman army surrounding Jerusalem in AD 70. It's already been done. Jesus also said he'd come back in the lifetime of those that were listening to him. That didn't happen. How many absurdities does there have to be before you start thinking for yourself? And do you realize that 95% of you, whether you're on TikTok or whether you're on the other platforms, 95% of you in TikTok, I will start broadcasting the regular full deprogram to you just as soon as TikTok opens me for doing that through my streaming service. Usually takes about 500 or 1,000 or so. I'm almost at 500. Help a brother out. Follow me. I appreciate it. But how many absurdities have to stack up before you start asking questions? And 95% of you have never even read the book one time from cover to cover. Yet you're saying that you're basing that on your eternal destiny on that, and you're willing to push somebody into a lake of fire because they don't believe the way you do. What does that make you? Do you really want to be that person? Do you really want to be that person? It's up to you.
Here we go, Texas. The Department of Corrections has just released mega church founder Robert Morris after doing 6 on 10. And you usually do 6 years on a 10 piece. That's normal. But nobody said 6 years. The dude did 6 months on his decades-long prison sentence. Yes, I'm sure you remember when the house of cards came crumbling down for yet another pervert in hiding. This pervert apparently hiding for many years right in plain sight as the leader of the Gateway Church. Oh, bring me the kids. Bring me all the kids. It literally took one child victim her entire lifetime. She's a 40.
So how many Christian theologians have to be arrested for PDF before you say it's too many? Whether it's Catholicism, whether it's Protestantism, whether it's Orthodoxy, they admit that up to 20% of their priests have been charged with SA. They admit. And if you want to study, you can also see that SA is underreported by at least 100%, at least 100%. So that means about 40% of the clergy has been accused of SA. What percentage of PDF and SA in your clergy are you willing to accept, Christians? How many absurdities, how many contradictions are you personally willing to accept? Escaping the lie he brings a question. Are you open to the interpretation that Jesus was this or that? You lost me at interpretation. And this is going to be my cold plunge chill on TikTok tomorrow, my esoteric chill subject. Do you know that Christians constantly tell me, oh, you're interpreting that wrong. That's the wrong interpretation. Interpretation is the wrong interpretation. Now, I'm not going to tell you where, but in 2 Peter, Peter says, no teachings of the Bible are subject to anyone's private interpretation. That's why I don't interpret. I just show you the Greek, I show you the Hebrew. And words mean things. You're not supposed to be interpreting anything. How much will it take for you to wake up? How much will it take for you to at least ask a question and question a couple of answers?
Earth is not what we've been told, and our past is not what we've been told, and we are more than we've been led to believe. And I think all that's being revealed right now. And I think some of the most revealing evidence is not even on Earth, it's on the moon. And the moon itself. There's a growing body of evidence that suggests that the moon is an artificial body, that it was engineered. I just did a video on this recently, an interview. And I mean, it's fascinating. One of the things, it's so deep, I'm not even sure where to begin here. One of the first things that scientists noticed is, we all know, the moon is covered in meteorites. Big ones, small ones, overlapping ones, but they will not go below a certain depth. They're hitting something that doesn't allow them to go below a certain depth.
I think that's Greg Braden. He's kind of a handsome guy with that graying hair and that manly beard. He's kind of handsome. I think I'm a budding bromance. I don't agree with a lot of stuff he says, but he's right on with that one. House MD, Master of Divinity, diagnosing spiritual anomalies since 1999, asking the questions and questioning the answers that nobody else will because they're afraid to work a real job like I do. So now we get to the drag the picture piece into place. I think I'm about to lose TikTok. And let me see if I can drag this picture piece into place and continue on TikTok. Let me see if I can drag this puzzle piece into place. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, they having me drag that puzzle piece. I'm only 2 weeks on TikTok, so I don't really know how to use it yet. But let's get into the Saturn moon matrix. And since I just did that smoking opening, and some of you may be having conniption fits, and this is a call-in show, not a write-in show. So I ask you to limit your rants in the chat. But if you want to call in, I would ask you, but none of you ever do, but I would still really like it if you would put your question in the chat in all capitals. And if I see it and I like it, then I'll say, yes, call in with that. But I'm going to open the phone lines anyway, and anybody can call. And if I don't answer, that means that I don't want to stop at this point. But the phone lines are open. And as soon as you answer, I'll tell you, hold on a second, because I have to share the screen so you will, the people can hear you. So let me put up the phone number. And I really want you to put in your question in caps, but for some reason that's too hard for people to do. And we have a hard time getting people to summon up the courage just to call. So there's the phone number. It's 913-228-2586. 913-228-2586. Be polite, be interesting, and be platform friendly. If you're watching on another platform, you can still call in 913-228-2586. So let's get back into the D program. We're going to talk about the Saturn Moon Matrix. The Saturn Moon Matrix. I didn't talk to Jim today, so he's probably not going to be calling in for his normal 9:15. We'll start that again on, what is this, Sunday? We'll start that again on Wednesday. So the Saturn Moon Matrix, let's talk about it. Do you know that Saturn absolutely scientifically proven emits electromagnetic energies? We've had spacecraft like the Cassini craft, the Voyager 1. They detected actual radio emissions, plasma waves, oscillating magnetic fields being transmitted from Saturn. And these, the best way to think of them is they're just kind of like the northern lights. They are an energetic phenomena. And NASA, to Supergalactic's point, they turned them into this really scary sound. So that's what a lot of you are familiar with. But maybe they're trying to scare us on purpose. But these are not just sound waves traveling through the solar system. What these are electromagnetic signals that our bodies and our minds can pick up, and they understand it, they hear it. And Saturn has arguably the largest magnetosphere in the solar system. And isn't that interesting? As Earth's magnetosphere reduces, Saturn's magnetosphere is increasing. As the Judeo-Christian fear and guilt mind control matrix that controls the Earth is fading, the magnetosphere of the ancient golden age sun of Saturn is increasing. I don't think that's a coincidence. Saturn is broadcasting frequencies in a literal scientific sense. There's no argument to that. And the evidence indicates, as I've said, that Earth's magnetosphere is weakening and Saturn's is strengthening. We're winning. We're winning. We are winning. These charged particles are moving through the universe, and they are naturally producing emissions that we're able to decode in our inner self. Is this a great disclosure of the Abrahamic matrix? And do you know that the Earth's magnetosphere is shrinking and Saturn's is growing? Just thought I'd throw that in. But Jeff, Saturn's evil. Saturn's bad. You know, there's 9 planets out there if you include Pluto. 9 planets out there. So why in the world is Saturn the bad planet? Well, let's look at what makes Saturn unique. It has an unusually strong magnetic field. It emits radio frequencies. It has rings. And its North Pole, of course, features that famous hexagonal cloud pattern. And research has showed that Saturn's reputation has been reframed from a benevolent golden age ruler to a feared tyrant by the Judeo-Christian fear and guilt mind control matrix. Is that significant? And the basic idea is that Saturn is more than a physical planet in both paradigms. It's a cosmic transmitter that influences consciousness on Earth. And depending upon the version, it's either golden age goodness or Abrahamic's Judeo-Christian matrix badness. It's a prison planet control system. It's an artificial broadcasting station. It's a source of low frequency consciousness. It's archonic. It's AI. People like David Icke, Jordan Maxwell, they got some stuff right. They didn't get everything right. But one of the basic things that I try to get you to think about, it's the George Costanza opposite theory. If you consistently look at the Bible, all the bad stuff that the writers of the Bible did, they try to project on other people so that you won't know that they did it. This is a prison planet, but we're imprisoned by Abrahamic's religion. And maybe they are artificially broadcasting to us. Maybe they are trying to reopen the dimensional gateway that Rabbi Laitman told us they came here from. Maybe they're the source of the low frequency consciousness. Maybe they're the archons. Maybe they're the AI that's trying to control human perception. What if this is a Judeo-Christian psyop specifically aimed at reframing the Saturn and the Moon, the original Golden Age gods? Most of you listening to me on whatever platform you're listening on, what did Linda say that Her Majesty agreed with? I missed it. Sorry. Most of the people listening to me will agree that our biggest problem is the government. The governments now are domineering. They're controlling. You got to have a license to fish. So if we know the government's the problem, if you knew that over 90% of the government was made up by one group, would you kind of say, ooh, maybe that group is the problem? Well, the government of the United States of America is over 90% Christian and over 70% folks of the Jewish faith. So the thing that you think is the biggest problem is made up 97% of Judeo-Christianity. Maybe you want to do that math. Maybe. It's up to you. Here's the famous hexagon that is on Saturn. These are actual photos. I know you flat earthers, and I think I saw Smoochie sneaking in. I probably ran her off again already. I know you flat earthers are all about space is fake and G. That's the problem with the flat earth movement. People come in seeking truth, but then they get caught in the Abrahamic's matrix as 99% of flat earthers are Christians. Maybe there's a reason why they want you to think space is fake and G, because it's got the answers for you and me. That's the Saturn hexagon. Here's another couple pictures of the Saturn hexagon. Is it just me, or does that look organic? Does that look like the eye of providence trying to watch out over us? Just asking questions. And I find it interesting when we're talking about the violet flames that Saturn even has an aura. It's called an ultraviolet aura. Just throwing out some seed. So, you know what the Abrahamics explanation of Saturn is. Let me suggest for you, let me just let you know about the esoteric discussion of Saturn. Do you know that the hexagon isn't just a geometric shape? There's been many esoteric connections made to the hexagon. So maybe we should look at that a little bit. Maybe it's worth comparing these ideas. Hexagon, beehive. Is there anything more natural than a beehive? And then we have this symbol, which really equals a hexagon. Isn't that interesting? Most people esoterically assume that geometry is the language of creation. Pythagoras, Plato, Hermetic philosophy, sacred geometry. Very interesting, huh? In these systems, the hexagon represents harmony, and that the hexagon is very efficient. That's why nature repeatedly produces hexagons. And nature is good, and nature, in my opinion, is divine. So why are honeycombs hexagonal? Why are snowflakes hexagonal? Why are crystal lattices hexagonal? Why are basalt columns hexagonal? Why does it appear so often in nature if it's bad, 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 bad? Maybe they're trying to convince us that something good is bad because they're bad and they're trying to take over that which is good. Rabbi Laitman said the same thing to us. Rabbi Laitman said the same thing to us. The hexagon also relates to the 6 directions: north, south, east, west, above, below. So the hexagon, pre-Christianity, pre-Judaism, was a symbol of the universe brought into equilibrium. But perhaps the most famous, and now, depending upon your school of thought, the most infamous esoteric image is of the hexagram is that upward triangle and that downward triangle. And you know what that's associated with. But esoterically, long before there was an Israel, long before there was a Jew, a Christian, or a Muslim, this symbol was being used to teach us about the union of spirit and matter, the union of the masculine and the feminine. And I got to laugh about Andrew Wilson, all super duper ortho boy and all broed up when he can't even open a pickle jar. It was showing us the connection of fire and water and heaven and earth. And what better way to disconnect heaven from earth than to say space is fake in G? Just thought I'd throw that one out there too. So symbols can accumulate meanings beyond what they originally meant, especially if one mind frame dominates a culture for a long time. And for at least 1,000 years, humanity has been dominated by the Judeo-Christian mind frame. So the hexagon exists as a geometric form. And it didn't become associated exclusively with the Jewish religion until just really 1948. Could the Star of David also be part of the Judeo-Christian occultation, the hiding and the inversion? Honeycomb, snowflakes, crystal lattices, basalt, molecular chemistry. These things far long existed, Judaism and Christianity. Long before it was any of these bad things, it was about harmony, order, efficiency, and balance. Many, many, many ancient heathen cultures that predate Israel by tens of thousands of years, that predate Judaism by tens of thousands of years, used this symbol, this 6-pointed star, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, without any connection whatsoever to something that didn't exist. You can find it in Hindu yantras. You can find it in Buddhist art. You even find it in Islamic decoration, medieval Christian churches, alchemical manuscripts, magical grimoires. But today, whenever you see it, you know that you're seeing Abrahamic contamination, in my view. It used to be called the Seal of Solomon. So the hexagram has been stolen. It's been corrupted. It's been inverted. It's been perverted. It really means heaven meeting earth. It really means descending of the Spirit and the raising of humanity. It really means the perfect, beautiful union of masculine and feminine. It really means a combination of fire and water, macrocosm, the big, with microcosm, the small. And it's the true meaning of as above, so below. It's the balance of opposing principles. That's a great question, Og. I'm still diving into that, but it does appear very possible that the Star of David itself could be another stolen symbol. I'm deep into research on that. Couldn't quite get it done. But one thing we know for sure is that the Abrahamics, MAGA, Q, nationalist Christian identity communities exclusively associate the 6-pointed star with what they call Israel, what they call Jacob, what they call Zionism. They don't always use that term correctly. Also, Freemasonry uses it. They say it's bad Saturn connotations. Global control narratives are associated with it. And because these ideas become linked within these communities of people that stop thinking and just do what they're told, the hexagram gets treated as inherently sinister. And if you see what they're doing, they're making you think that balance, masculine and feminine together, fire and water, they're making you think that's bad. They're making you think that's bad. Why? The Judeo-Christians will point you to Saturn's hexagon. They'll point you to black cubes. They connect all Saturnian imagery back to bad Abrahamic connections. Saturn's a hexagon. The hexagon's a cube. That's the six-pointed star. That's the Star of David. That's a bad thing in this thought frame. But what if they inverted it? What if a originally pure sacred geometric symbol has been appropriated by hidden powers like the Abrahamic matrix? And what if it's been reframed into the emblem of a bad guy? Symbols are very rarely evil by themselves. But over time, the dominant matrix, the dominant mind frame, in this case, the Abrahamic one, begins to change the association to the new one that they're creating rather than the original one. Same thing with like the pentagram. That's a beautiful, powerful heathen symbol. It's not black magic. The swastika, which long predated anything that happened in Germany in the 19th or 20th centuries. The all-seeing eye, which is the eye of providence, not the New World Order. Even the serpent has been occulted, inverted, and perverted. And this ties into the broader themes that we've been exploring. Saturn, Purple Dawn, ancient cosmologies. And my assertion is that the facts show that there's been a single coordinated Judeo-Christian process by which all heathen symbols have been intentionally inverted. And that's way beyond speculation. That's demonstrable. And one fascinating avenue is the relationship between the hexagon, the cube, and the cross. Some esoteric writers will argue that those forms are mathematically and symbolically related, and that they pervert those relationships to construct their theories while hiding the original meaning and inverting the original good meaning into bad meaning. I'm just trying to get you to think a little bit. I'm just trying to get you to think a little bit. Think a little bit. Think a little bit. It wasn't until the rise of Jewish Kabbalah that this really perverted the non-Judeo-Christian mindset about the 17th and 18th centuries. And that's the same time that this whole idea of British Israel, which became Christian nationalism and Christian identity, got started. And it wasn't long before the 1948 birth of the modern nation of Israel. So if we step back for a minute, and look at things, the hexagram was originally just a geometric design. It showed the union of opposites. And do you know a truly smart person can hold competing ideas in their mind simultaneously? And what that allows you to do is get all of the data to make your decisions. But if as soon as you pick a side and say, oh, this, that's when you get stuck. And let me get over here and try to answer this phone call. I think it's Jim. Hey, Jim, hold on one second. Let me share the screen. I forgot to talk to you, so I wasn't sure if we were going to hear from you, but I'm glad you called in. So let me go ahead and share this. All right, folks, we have Jim on the line. What's on your mind, my friend? The Tennessean.
Well, I was going to speak about the Christians in politics.
Let's talk about it.
Since you mentioned it, is there's 3 levels of Christianity. Those that call themselves Christian, they've never read the Bible, and they only go by heard of word. They're really not Christians. They can say they're Christians, but they're not. That's just an illusion they put out just to make them feel better. Now you have those, say, priests or preachers. I would say most of them that have really studied hard into the Bible are no longer Christians either. They play Christians. And that's kind of my point on Christianity. But I was also going to talk about Irish and your middle martial arts. When you look at Irish, their fighting system is an Irish jig. If you watch their feet work, what they're doing, they're fighting and using their feet. So well, I guess he's walked away from the computer. So
that's okay. I was just filling up my coffee.
Oh, okay. So, if you, I guess when I was young, I saw an old Chinese movie, and these guys were just foot fighting each other, and I kept looking because I knew martial arts at that time, and going like, well, that's pretty neat. So I started putting that into it, but then I realized it was Irish fighting. It was the jig. And so I started using it, and man, I started blowing people out of the waters by doing those things to those people in fights.
Wow.
I said, man, it worked so good. But anyway, I wanted to mention that as well. But all right, buddy, I'll let you back to your show.
And Jim, I want to just say with you, as a 25-year preacher, I concur with you, obviously, that most of the preachers that have studied, they know that it doesn't add up. I definitely agree with you. And about 95% of the Christians have never read the Bible. I agree with you on that too. But it pains me a little bit to say that there are still some people that call themselves Christians, and they probably haven't read the Bible, but they're not Christians to follow everybody's going to hell if they don't believe our way. But they're people that are genuinely trying to seek what God, and that's the only way they know. So that's really the people that I'm trying to reach out to. What are your thoughts on that before you leave?
Well, one thing I want to say before I forget my thought, when you're talking about the politicians are also using the word Christian as a label. None of them are Christians.
But they say they are, Jim.
Of course they say they are.
Judge.
It gives them their votes. So, I'm a great Christian, so give me a vote. So none of those people that we're calling Christians are not Christians. You call them Luciferians or satanics, but they're not real Christians. But there are a middle point of Christians that I do know that in their heart, even though they read the Bible, I can hear how they twist their meanings to make it form to what they want to believe.
You're right. And I think there are still some good people there.
They are.
Trying to help them out.
And I appreciate them. I do. And because they're trying to find the best part of our human nature and elevate it. And for them, I love them for that. And I would never try to disturb their thoughts for that. So, but anyway, brother, I guess I said enough for you.
That's my job, Jim. I'll disturb the thoughts. I appreciate you calling in. I'm glad you did. Have a great night. That's the Tennessean. That's our buddy Jim. And TikTok, when I'm doing my sauna discussions, I can bring you in, but I can't see it good enough to be able to. Well, I'll tell you what, TikTok, if you want to come on live, put a comment that says in all caps, I want to talk to you, and I promise to be polite and interesting, and I promise to be platform friendly. And then we'll go old school until I get released on TikTok. Well, I'll put you on TikTok. You can come on live, and I'll hold it up to the microphone if you want to do that. But don't backstab me by doing that. Be an honorable person, and we can get along. Because I know we got a good crowd over there, and if you want to talk, I don't want to keep you on the sidelines just because we're, let me stop sharing just over on the other platform tonight because I haven't been released yet. Too new to broadcast on TikTok, but I believe that's coming, and I hope that's coming. All right, so what we're looking at is an inversion and a perversion of a geometric symbol, which talks about unifying opposites, which talks about cosmic balance, which talks about transformation, into something that even was a protective sign. And now it's been inverted and perverted into either a bad thing or exclusive association with Israel. And we know the meaning has changed. We know that it has accumulated different thoughts. But I'm telling you, man, those thoughts are from one place. And it's like Mark Twain said, if you find yourself in the majority, it's time to stop and check your facts. But I think I have to say this. There is no evidence in heathenry, non-Christian religion, mainly of the historically European peoples, there's no evidence that the hexagram has ever been associated with the pre-Christian Norse or Irish religions. It wasn't until Christianization that this Abrahamic symbol came to be linked with anything related to ancient heathenry. Today, some modern heathens, quote unquote, they do try to incorporate the hexagram into their theology, but I think they're doing it to get paid. That's my opinion. Hey, there's a big Christian market out there. We got to try to get into the Christian market. And we talked about HT earlier. HT did this for a long time. And there's somebody else that talks about a pill. That's his last name. He tries to leave that door cracked open too. Just saying. But when you start incorporating Abrahamic imagery and Abrahamic thought into your mind frame, I think that's a very slippery slope. It's kind of like that old commercial you won't remember, a little dab will do you. It was for a hair product. Well, in this case, a little dab of Abrahamism will do you in my opinion. Just one more look at that hexagram on Saturn. It looks organic to me. Just wanted you to think about some things. So let's talk about Saturn's hexagram. It is a stable atmospheric jet stream. Do you know that it's 18,000 miles across? Not 17, not 16. It's 18,000 miles across. That equals a 9. A guy named Tesla, pretty smart guy, said, learn the secrets of the 9. In nature, almost never produces perfect geometry in straight lines. This speaks very strongly for intelligent design. It speaks very strongly of an energetic portal. It speaks very strongly that it is broadcasting things, and it might even be a dimensional aperture or opening. These are deep thoughts. Saturn does emit radio waves. There's no doubt about it. It's been confirmed. It's also been confirmed that those waves influence consciousness. And then we get into the moon, because remember, the moon is pitched by Ike and other people of that thought, and he does get some stuff right, is that Saturn broadcasts it, and the moon takes it and magnifies it, repeats it. And the moon acts as a frequency amplifier, a consciousness regulator, a holographic projector. It's part of the simulation. And there is a simulation, but the simulation is an artificial overlay over a beautiful natural Earth. So just because we're living in a simulation doesn't mean that we're living in a simulation. We're living in a beautiful divine Earth that has been overlaid with a simulation. And part of my job is to try to get you to see that. or at least consider that as a potential possibility. And we have to talk about Saturn as it's related to time. Saturn, in its golden age height, didn't really represent time. It represented natural time, agriculture, seasons. But now Saturn has been inverted, perverted into talking about linear time, getting old and dying, limitations. But without the modern Judeo-Christian concept of Saturn as the Lord of time, we could not be in any prison of time because time is not real. That's why the Christians are so worried about the end times and eschatology and prophecy and last days, because they're running out of time. But time, it's on our side. Yes, it is. Sports analogy. If you're winning, you just try to run out the clock, right? We're winning. We could just run out the clock, but I hope we'll be more aggressive than that. But time is only a trap if you allow it to be one to you. And then they want to talk about these cubes. This is the Merkaba cube, or the, what's that cube called in Mecca? I can't remember what it's called, the Kaaba. This is the Tefillin that the most Orthodox Jews will wear tied around their forehead, kind of like a rhinoceros. That's kind of weird, isn't it? But the black cube becomes the big baddie in many ways. The Kaaba, the Tefillin, black cube, corporate logos. And they try to scare us with this stuff. What if the black cube was even good originally? I'm working on that. I'm not there yet. But the Judeo-Christian matrix is trying to pitch us on a world full of fear. You got to be afraid that if you don't get saved, you're going to go to a lake of fire. The Bible even says fear of God's the beginning of wisdom, and it doesn't mean reverence. I've showed you that 1,000 times. They want you to be afraid. Who wants you to be afraid? Does any God that has to keep you captive by fear, is he worth serving? Scarcity, we're running out of everything. No, we're not. They're dividing us. Race, even Christianity. It's got like 2,000 denominations. How many times have you pulled up, notice next time, at a cross street, a crossroads, and there's a church in all four corners. All four corners. This whole idea of competition. If you get more, that means I get less. No. We can just make more. Violence. Do you know there was no world wars until we had world religions? Until there was a religion called Judaism, Christianity, Islam that wanted to take over the whole world, everybody had to believe them or die. We didn't have any world wars. 48,000 years of human history, no world wars. Less than 2,000 years of Judeo-Christianity. We've already had 3, working on 4. You might want to do that math. They want to tell us that Saturn's trying to keep humanity from awakening. Saturn was built to awaken humanity. What if they're the ones that are trying to keep humanity from awakening? Saturn was never identified with evil until Judeo-Christianity came around. And one of the greatest ironies is that the greatest celebration within the Saturnian religion was called Saturnalia. Saturnalia. They gave each other gifts. They feasted. They took time off work. The master served the slaves. And guess what day Saturnalia was on? December 25th. And if you know anything about anything, if you've read a book and studied a little bit, that's a nicotine pouch. Don't worry, I'm not going to drink any more urine live. If Saturn was so bad, then why in the world would Christianity steal the biggest holiday of Saturnian worship? Why would they steal it to be their biggest holiday of the birth of their their savior? Why would they do such a thing? Saturnalia reminded us of abundance. There's plenty to go around if you want to work hard. It was a celebration of giving to other people because you had so much abundance you could give away. It was a celebration of we're really all the same. We just can be rewarded by how hard we work. Do you know that we should be guaranteed equality of opportunity, but not equality of outcome? If I work harder than you, I'm probably going to have some more than you do. But the good news is you can work harder too, and you can catch up. And it was given to remind us of a golden age. That's why I say this world would be better than it's ever been, sooner than even we can imagine, because we're remembering who we were. Saturn wasn't evil. Saturn represented peace, abundance, equality, wisdom, the natural time. Saturn represented cosmic order. Now space is fake in G, according to the flat earth. And that's because of the Abrahamic religious tradition that has reinterpreted Saturn as evil. It's just that simple. It's just that easy. And from our previous discussions, we've talked about, instead of Saturn becoming evil, what if the later religious narratives have just recast Saturn into the image of the adversary? Because we really are their adversaries. Their thought is, our God's the only God, and if you don't serve our God, you'll get thrown in a lake of fire. Our idea is that all humanity is divine, sovereign, and free, should be able to worship the way they want to worship, leave everybody else alone. So our basic questions are, did an originally benevolent, good Saturn become associated with evil through Judeo-Christian developments? And why were the attributes of heathen deities reassigned by Christians? And why was the Lord of natural time recast as the Lord of bondage? These are questions that you should ask. And these are answers that you should question. But Jeff, Saturn was about structure and discipline and limits and morality and responsibility and consequences. It was oppressive. What that is, it's called the real world. If you don't develop a life with structure, if you don't develop a life of discipline, if you don't place limits upon yourself, what you eat, what you drink, who you have sex with, what you do, if you don't maintain a basic human morality, if you don't take responsibility for your own stuff, you will have the consequences. Whatever you sow, you're going to reap. You're going to reap. From this perspective, some people might call that bondage and oppression. But it just reminds you of the real world. You've got to be responsible. You've got to be mature. You've got to be resilient. And you got to learn to stand on your own 2 feet. That's just the way it is. That's reality. So overall, the idea that Saturn is transmitting harmful frequencies that control humanity is not supported by anything other than Judeo-Christianity. But at the same time, Saturn has accumulated a lot of symbolic history across a lot of cultures. And that symbology inspires these modern thoughts about it's bad. And all I'm trying to do is remind you of the reality that most people have always thought it was good. Now let's rethink just for a minute the Saturn prison idea. Up until Christianity, Saturn was always good. It wasn't until Christianity that Saturn became dark or oppressive. That's the Abrahamic narrative, the narrative, the paradigm. What if we imagine Saturn as a broadcaster, but the signal isn't imprisonment? The signal is liberation. And we are receivers. And Saturn teaches us things like thinking long term rather than being impulsive, being responsible rather than living chaotic, being patient instead of having to satisfy all your needs immediately, to be contemplative rather than distracted by everything, to be in harmony with the natural cycles. And what if it reminds you of your old ancestral wisdom, whether you're red, yellow, black, white, brown? In that framework, Saturn is not suppressive, it's stabilizing. The only thing that Saturn suppresses is the idea that there's just one God, and if you don't do it his way, you're going to pay. The only thing that Saturn suppresses is this heaven or hell, turn or burn mentality. That's the only thing that it oppresses. And say what you want about flat Earth, but it teaches that space is fake in G, and you can't learn from space if you think it's fake in G. And the secrets of the universe are in the universe. Oh, Jeff, but Saturn's rings are enslaving rings. Say the people that believe in a God that calls a place Eden that was really a pen with flaming angels to keep you in and then later to keep you out because you found out about that tree of knowledge and of good and evil and of life. But what if the rings aren't prison bars? What if they're cycles, seasons, harmony, rhythms that make an optimized life possible? What if? What if? What if Saturn's broadcast lowers psychological noise? What if it gives you greater intuition? What if it identifies you with your ancestors and your gods and goddesses? What if it gets rid of this fear of not doing enough and not being enough? Because, man, if you're a Christian, right up to the day you get raptured, if you mess up, you'll be burning, baby. And what if Saturn is really to give us a clearer memory of what we were? And what if Saturn doesn't cause humanity to decline as they align with it? What if when humanity listens to Saturn, they get better, and when they ignore Saturn, they get worse? And when things get worse, even smart people like Robert Stanley go for the Jesus life raft instead of learning how to swim on their own. So what if Saturn didn't really change? What if it was changed? What if human frequency changed to make it incompatible with Saturnian frequency? When you get born again, it says you must present your body as a living sacrifice. It says you must take all thoughts captive to obedience to Jesus. It says you no longer have your own mind, but you have the mind of Jesus. It says you have to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's a transformation of your mind. What if the whole goal is to get you out of being able to receive the universal, not fake in G, the universal transmissions from the original God of the golden age? Anything based on fear, you should walk away from, says my handless John. I agree. In this line of thought, the God that they say is the God of wisdom is the God that says, fear me or burn. That's oppression. The old world God, the golden age God, becomes the Lord of death. Having to have some discipline becomes bondage. Order becomes tyranny. Maturity becomes fear. In other words, the symbol's inverted. And if this aversion occurred, people might begin to associate Saturn with dread, even though it was originally a good and beautiful and powerful thing. Somebody says, escaping the lie, do you think the Bible is complete fiction, or do you just reject the vindictive, jealous God despite his potential existence? I didn't say the God of the Bible is not real. I just said he shouldn't even be called a God. He's a godling. The God of the Bible is like Timu God. I believe in the Most High God. I believe in the sovereign of the universe. That's a real God. The Bible God has proven that he's jealous, he's petty, he throws temper tantrums, he wants you to sacrifice yourself to him. He wants you to stop thinking and let him think for you. So the God of the Bible does exist, but he's a godling. He's a Timu God. You know what Timu is. He's the Timu God. He's the Timu God. Is the Bible complete fiction? Yes. 100% complete fiction. But it does contain disclosures because according to their own Kabbalistic law, they have to tell you the truth. It has to be made available to you so they can say, we told these people, they just didn't read it. They just didn't read it. And when 95% of Christians don't read the Bible, it works out perfectly. I'll take one more from you, escaping the lie. So you don't think that Jesus could have come from the Most High God? No, he's not real. You can't prove Jesus outside the Bible any more than you can prove Batman outside of DC Comics, right? There's not one shred of evidence that Jesus was a real person. And you keep using that C word. That's not even a word in English. The word is Christos, which means the anointing, the flow, those set aside to do divine service. Jesus took this Christos that's available to everybody and made it exclusive to one dude that never even existed. And the only reason why you're trying to reform that obvious lie is because that's all you know. And like me, you're seeing the cracks in the system and you're panicking. You got to let that go. It's like a person that's been diagnosed with a tumor and they say, doctor, could you just take out about 95% of that tumor? I want to keep part of it just in case it's good for me. Let me say this to you. There's as much chance that a little dab of Christianity is good for you as there's a chance that a little dab of that tumor is good for you. What happens if the doctor doesn't take out 100% of that tumor? It spreads and grows. What happens if you don't get 100% of the Abrahamic virus out of you? It spreads and grows. Does it hurt to get cancer cut out of you? Yeah, it does. But it hurts a lot worse to die. It hurts a lot worse to die. I'm not going to take this call right now. I don't want to take this call right now. I want to move on through this. I'm going to move on through this. Sorry for the ringtone. But what if the broadcast of Saturn never changed? What if the broadcast from Saturn is the same as it's always been? I'm actually going to close that phone line just for a minute because I don't want to be interrupted. I'll open it up again at the end. What if that transmission from Saturn is just the same as it's always been? It's never been changed. It's never been changed. What Saturn started broadcasting in the golden age, it's still broadcasting in this age. What if the change wasn't with the transmission from Saturn? What if the change is from the receiver on Earth? And what if making yourself a living sacrifice? What if taking every thought captive to Jesus? What if having the mind of Christ and giving up your own mind? What if no longer being alive yourself, but Jesus being alive in you? What if that? What if the transformation by the renewing of your mind in the Bible, what if that has changed you and you can no longer receive the golden age frequencies from the golden age God? What if Saturn stays the same and you've been reframed? What if you think Saturn's now malevolent because the golden age message is the opposite of the Judeo-Christian message? The Judeo-Christian message says you were born with original sin, and unless you bow the knee to the Savior we created that never existed and let us save you from the sin we gave you, you're going to burn in a lake of fire forever. And let me just throw this out, just cast this seed. There's been billions of people that have lived on the earth. And even the Bible says that there's very few that will be saved and most will be lost. So if I was, let's say I was selling rods. I still sell rods. And 99% of the rods I made were crap. They didn't work. Would you say I'm a bad rod maker? If I came as a carpenter, and I'm not one, to fix your house, and 99% of the times whatever I built broke, would you say I'm a good carpenter? Well, Christians believe that their God created everybody. And if very few, according to the Bible, are going to make it into heaven, is he a good God or a bad God? He's a Temu God. Now, I got to say, I've got some really good stuff from Temu, but I've got some crap from Temu too. I ordered probably, what, honey? 20 things from Temu. 17 of them were good. 3 of them were crap. So every now and then I'll buy something from Temu. But if I got 17 pieces of crap from Temu and 3 good ones, but the Bible, God is going to throw most of the people he ever made supposedly into a lake of fire. That's a Temu God. That's a broke God. That's a bad God. That's a godling that doesn't even know what the hell he's doing. Saturn is not oppressive because it's bad. It's oppressive because you've allowed yourself to become a living sacrifice. You've stopped thinking. You've stopped living. And you are allowing all of your thoughts to be captive by somebody else. And that's not golden age. And to our earlier question, do you want to be 95% tuned in? 90, 75, 60? What I'm trying to say is, if you keep 5% of the Christian message within your spirituality, you'll be 95% able to hear, but 5% unable to hear. But like any other virus, it grows and grows and grows. And until you get rid of the whole tumor, it's just a matter of time before you're infected with cancer again. Now, we've talked about the Purple Dawn. It was our last program. The Purple Dawn is a picture of how humanity once lived in alignment with the universe. Didn't think it was fake and G. We lived in alignment with the universe. Saturn was the god of that. But the golden age ended. Our memories have been fragmented. The symbols have been reinterpreted. But the purple dawn symbolizes the fading memory of an earlier harmony where men and gods walked together, where we had complete interaction with the divinity and the ultimate divinity. It was a straight line. I wish I had my drawing board here. I wish I had my drawing board. Give me a second. In the golden age of Saturn, there was complete connection between heaven and earth. You could go from humanity to the gods. You could go from humanity to the Most High God. That's the golden age. But along comes Christianity, and they create this Jesus guy. And their symbol is the cross. What does the cross do? The cross cuts off our access straight to divinity. Everybody used to have access to divinity. Now you can only get there through this invented Jesus character. You don't have the anointing anymore. You don't have the flow anymore. There you go, Timu or TikTok. You don't have the divinity anymore. You don't have the flow anymore. Because it's only through one mediator between God and man, the man Christ Jesus. Is that okay with you? Is that okay with you? You're wrong, Alden. That dual seed line is not from the Greeks in Sumer. Not true. You're wrong. Are you okay with a middleman? You know, if you go through a middleman, you always pay more. Do you know you can go straight to the Most High God? You can go straight to divinity. Why do you need a mediator between God and man? You don't. They just convince you that you do. They've just convinced you that you do. Our culture's become afraid of aging. Our culture has become afraid of aging when aging's a good thing. All of you young people want to blame the boomers. You know how many of us boomers work 2-3 jobs to get to where we are today? Maybe if you'd stop bitching and start working, your life might change. A lot of people are upset about discipline and responsibility. A lot of people don't have patience anymore. You see these crazy people, these crazy young kids on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube every day complaining because they want me to work 40 hours a week. And then they want to blame people like me. And I'm not actually a boomer. I'm not quite a boomer. They want to blame other people. Alden, don't make me block you. It's a call-in show, not a write-in show. And don't be pimping your channel without asking me. That's rude. The boomers are so harsh. They want us to work 40 hours a week. When I was making 6 figures plus in the 80s as an evangelist, do you know my last year, I preached over 350 days. That's way more than 40 hours a week. When I made my big money working for Marriott Vacation Club, I was working 60, 70 hours a week. That's called responsibility. That's called discipline. That's called working your butt off. Maybe the reason you're living in your mom's basement isn't because it's the boomer's fault. Maybe it's because you just don't want to work hard enough. I'm just telling you the truth. If you want to know what's holding you back, go to the nearest mirror and you'll find out. You see, this current Abrahamic Judeo-Christian mindset tells us that Saturn's broadcasting limitation and enslavement. But the Golden Age model says Saturn broadcast, take some responsibility, get to work. So why did Saturn get targeted by the Abrahamic matrix? And why is the moon targeted by the Abrahamic matrix? And why does flat earth theory, which is populated by 95% Christians, why do they say it's all fake and G? All right, Alden, you get a timeout. I'm tired of your nonsense. Act like a decent human, you can come back in. But you're in timeout now. Go stand in the corner. Stand in that corner. Only you can free you. They tell us that Saturn transmits bad stuff. The moon amplifies it. Earth receives it, and we're controlled. But up until Christianity, we understood that Saturn transmitted order and wisdom, and that the moon softened it and translated it because it's feminine. And then Earth receives this balanced message, and we get harmonized. Either the moon is a prison relay or it's a cosmic modulator. You choose. You see, the moon has always been, pre-Christianity, understood as a feminine, divine, sacred feminine kind of a balancer. Saturn is about natural boundaries, natural time, natural law, natural memory. Most of you living in your mom's basement won't even mow the damn yard. Your mom is putting you up and you're making her pay somebody to mow the yard. And you wonder what your problem is. The moon is all about rhythm and water and emotion, sleep, tides. It takes Saturn's strong, divine, masculine signal and kind of wombs it with sacred femininity. So the moon isn't a surveillance dish. It's a mothering modulator that helps us get it. Originally, Saturn gave structure, and the moon helps translate that into human terms. Saturn was about, and the moon were about the seasons, fertility, intuition. And now Judeo-Christianity says Saturn's a tyrant. The moon is an evil repeater. Forget the natural rhythms. Let us program you. Fertility becomes birth control. Don't even look at a woman lustfully. Dreams become illusions. The womb becomes a prison. You can choose what world you want to live in. The moon was put there to be a benevolent amplifier and modulator of the message from the Golden Age god Saturn. The rings show that it amplifies the message of divinity. The moon breaks it down to where we can get it. And Christianity has reframed and inverted all of that. And since Rabbi Laitman's invasion, and since we've been corrupted and enslaved by the Judeo-Christian mindset, we can't get this information anymore. It's too vast, it's too ancient, it's too crazy. Space is fake in G. No, that's why you're still messed up, because you can't hear it anymore, because you've made yourself a sacrifice and you've given away your mind, you've given away your very life. And once Saturn was demonized, they had to demonize the moon too. Humanity has been taught to fear the rhythm of the golden age that will take us back to a new golden age. It's an Abrahamic's trap. We don't live on a prison planet. We live on a planet of optimization that's overlaid with a Judeo-Christian trap matrix.
In this universe, we process time linearly forward. But outside of our space-time, from what would be a fourth dimensional perspective, time wouldn't exist. And from that vantage, could we attain it? We see our space-time look flattened. See everything outside our dimension as eternity looking down on us. Now to us, it's a sphere, but to them, it's a circle.
Listen to that one more time and think about flat Earth. Listen to this one more time.
In this universe, we process time linearly forward, but outside of our space-time, from what would be a fourth dimensional perspective, time wouldn't exist.
Time does not exist. It's a trap. Time is not real. Cycles are real. Seasons are real. They're natural. But time, tick-tock, doesn't exist. That's why they are saying we're running out of time, and we're saying time is on our side. Oh, yes, it is.
And from that vantage, could we attain it? We see our space-time look flattened.
Our space-time look flattened.
See everything outside our dimension as eternity looking down on us. Now to us, it's a sphere.
Reality, nature, the universe, the galaxy, it's a sphere. And when you came into Flat Earth, you were looking for answers. Here's what happens.
But to them, it's a circle.
They crushed you.
In this universe.
They crushed you. Let me play the rest of that. It's really good. My system's getting on me. Let's play this through and I won't say a word and we'll move on.
We process time linearly forward, but outside of our space-time, from what would be a fourth dimensional perspective, time wouldn't exist. And from that vantage, could we attain it? We see our space-time look flattened. See everything outside our dimension as eternity looking down on us. Now to us, it's a sphere, but to them, it's a circle.
A flat circle. This is why Flat Earth is a Judeo-Christian psyop. Space has to be made fake and G-A-Y. So you can't find your W-A-Y out of the Abrahamic matrix. And I found this the other day, almost by accident. Matthew 3:10 says, the axe is laid at the root of the trees. And every tree that doesn't bring good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Luke 3:9 says, the axe is at the root of the trees. And every tree that doesn't bear good fruit is cut down and cast in the fire. I gave you two because the Jesus character said, in the mouth of two or three witnesses, let every word be established. Did you notice it's the axe? And I made up this acronym so I didn't get in trouble. AXX. The first X is the Jewish faith. The second X is the Christian faith. The third X is the Islamic faith. That's the Abrahamic, Judeo-Christian, Islamic matrix. And that axe is laid ready at the root of the trees. If you're a Bible scholar, even if you ever read the Bible, if you ever went to Sunday school, they told you there's two trees in the original paradise. One was called the tree of knowledge of good and evil. One was called the tree of life. In reality, it's only one tree. It's the tree of life and the knowledge of the good and evil. And the axe, the Abrahamic matrix, is laid to the root of those trees, because if they chop them down, you'll never be able to attain the knowledge of the tree of good and evil and of the tree of life, if you want to think of it as two trees. And they said it twice so you'd get it. So when I come up with these things like the axe matrix, I'm actually getting a realization from the heavens, from the Most High God. Pretty spectacular, huh? And let me finish with this. Have you heard about this thing lately? There's this new faith that's, they say they're worshiping Satana, and that Satan is an actual god, a good god. Now, there's atheistic Satanism, which is like the Church of Satan. They don't believe that Satan's a real being. He's just a literary figure, and they call themselves Satanists because they're rebelling against authority. That's atheistic Satanism. Then there's theistic Satanism. They believe that Satan is a real spiritual intelligence. Some say it's not Lucifer. Some say it is Lucifer. Others inject the Bible framework entirely. But they consider Satan to be a god, a real God, a pre-Christian deity, the liberator of humanity, the true creator, or the highest spiritual intelligence. But Satan never existed until the Hebrews wrote the word Satana, which means adversary. They try to make it a personal name, just like Christians try to make Christos a personal name when it's just a thing. Satan is not a personal name. It's just a thing. It's being adversarial. Satana was never the name of an ancient deity. Nowhere in all the annals of history is Satana a name. Satana was never a deity. He wasn't a deity ever. So the idea here is that even Satana was created with just enough Abrahamic dab to do you in. Satan is not some ancient god named Satana. No more than Jesus is some being called the C word. I don't even like to use that word because it just messes with people's heads. You can't de-Judaize Christianity. And you can't de-Judaize the worship of Satana because they both come from Hebrew words. Satana is no more real than Jesus. But Satan is real. Do you know what an egregore is? It takes about 20 people to focus on something to turn it into a tulpa, which is a thought form that can actually experience what looks like sentience. But when you go beyond 20 people and you get up into like 1 billion people like Christianity, then these thought forms can become egregores. When billions and millions of people focus on the same image, Satan, Jesus, emotional energy accumulates, ritual enforces it, and the focus of worship, in this case, Satan and Jesus, become autonomous beings. All of this enormous psychic construction has created the Satan being and the Jesus being that now can live and act as independent intelligences. This is an egregore. So Jesus was never a real historical person, but today he's real because billions of people have been focusing their intentions on him for 1,000 years. Satan was never a real being, but now he's real because thousands of people have been focusing their attention on him for 1,000 years, millions of people. Well, if you believe in God, you gotta believe in the devil. You believe in devil, you gotta believe in God. They're both egregores. They're not real. They're Batman and Superman. Or I guess I should say the Joker and Lex Luthor, if I've got my comic analogy correct. So why would Christianity create Satan and Jesus? Because every good story got a bad guy. Jesus was created for the same reason Batman was created, to make you think somebody can come save you. Satan was created for the same reason the Joker was created, to give you an enemy. Because for at least 1,000 years, people have feared Satan and loved Jesus. They've preached Satan and preached Jesus. They dream about Satan. They pray against Satan. They perform exorcisms. They get saved in the name of Jesus. They get healed by the blood of Jesus, saved by the blood of Jesus, washed in the blood of Jesus. All of this strengthens the egregores. And both of these egregores are designed to keep you in terror, terrified of Satan and terrified of falling short of Jesus's requirements and winding up in a lake of fire. Both of these entities make you obsessive. Oh, I'm worried about the devil. And oh, I'm worried that I won't measure up. Both of these entities give you guilt. Both of these entities give you shame. Both of these entities make you hate other people that aren't like you. The fear of the Bible God's the beginning of wisdom. Keep you in terror, keep you obsessed, keep you in guilt because you killed Jesus. It was your sins. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should hate yourself. So just become a living sacrifice. Are you beginning to see how this comes together? So why would Christianity simultaneously be creating Satan and say they're trying to defeat Satan? Why would Christianity simultaneously say they're trying to kill Satan, but they keep strengthening Satan by focusing on him? There's as much attention directed towards the devil as there is directed towards Jesus. There's as much attention directed to Jesus as there is directed to the devil, because they're keeping egregores alive so that they can eventually get you and your energy. Centuries of preaching and imagery have shifted us away from Golden Age thinking to this modern Judeo-Christian way of thinking. And if billions of people continuously create, sustain, and empower these egregores, you can begin to understand how they become real. Satan remains the most fascinating, powerful, and influential being in the last millennia of human life, rivaled only by Jesus. Neither one is real. Neither one ever existed. And they both make a lot of people a lot of money. And that is the Saturn moon matrix re-examined. And you won't hear that anywhere else except from Jeffrey Darty, the Christian whistleblower. Often imitated but never duplicated. The OG of exposing the Judeo-Christian fear and guilt mind control matrix. I will open up the phone lines real quickly. We're closing, but I don't want to have somebody say, I was going to call, but he wouldn't open the lines. So he's going to open the lines real quickly. If you want to call, be on point, be polite, be interesting, and follow the rules of the platform. Follow the rules of the platform. So why the crickets chirp? While the crickets chirp, because nobody ever calls in. I'll be back. What is this, Sunday? I'll be back on Wednesday. And Wednesday, what are we going to talk about? I got so much going on in my mind. You know what? I think we might talk about Baphomet. Oh, Jeff, what do you got for Baphomet?
Call from.
You're live with Jeffrey Daugherty. What's on your mind?
Hey, brother. I was going to bring up a couple of things. Finally, I would like to say that I'm 70 years old and I have no wrinkles whatsoever on my face.
Good for you, brother.
So I'm very lucky. Saturnia, I believe that's how Satan was born out of Rome. And for people who don't understand that day, that holiday was, they lifted all laws away from people in Rome to do whatever they wanted to. And no broken laws will hold against them after that day. So if you had an orgy, rape, murder, theft, whatever, if you get away with it, you got away with it. And they did not hold you against the laws the day after it. So the people did not like that day. And I think that's where the Satanists came out of, in my way of thinking. Now, when you talk about the Black Rock, where the Muslims are going around doing their little tornado with it,
Yep.
basically, in my opinion, is when they're spinning like that, they're drawing energy. And while the rock is anchored into the earth, they're taking their bodies, whether they realize it or not, they're pulling themselves deeper into the material world.
Great point.
So there, because when you see a tornado, it's big on top and goes small low. If you're stomping on the ground in a circle, all that vibration is going into the earth. So without them realizing, they're drawing all their energy into the earth, pulling them away from the heavens. So those are my points on these things.
Very interesting, Jim. Thanks so much for the call.
All right, amigo. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Now, I don't disagree with Jim very often, but I think Jim was extrapolating on that first part. There's no historical evidence that Saturnalia had a suspension of laws. I just don't think that's accurate. But you don't have to agree with me to call into this deprogram. You don't have to agree with me to call into this deprogram. I don't think he's right about that. I don't think that's accurate. With the second part that he said, that was pretty interesting. And that gives you a lot of things to think about. And if you think about his analogy of the tornado, it's small on the bottom, big at the top. It's taking that energy from Earth and transferring it back up to heaven, isn't it? A lot of stuff to think about. That's the Saturn Moon Matrix. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I'll be back on Wednesday. I think we'll talk about Baphomet. We'll take your calls and we'll see what happens. TikTok, I'm going to leave you here. Thanks for being with me. I really appreciate you. I look forward to being able to broadcast directly to TikTok. If you leave messages, I'll respond. Thank you so much. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian whistleblower, saluting you for being here, seeking after truth. I think we got the whole show on TikTok tonight. We're going to go ahead and close the phone lines. We're going to go ahead and close the deprogram. I hope I've given you something to think about. You don't have to agree with me, but I hope you'll have enough integrity to come up with some reasons why you don't. I bring you to water, can't make you drink. I bring you to data, can't make you think. But what if you are not filled with original sin? What if you've got the spark of the divine within? What if you're divine, sovereign, and free and don't need to go and bend a knee to somebody else's savior to save you from the sin they gave you? What if you're part of the last generation of real humans? And if you're listening to me, you probably are. And what if this world is going to be better than it's ever been, even sooner than we can imagine? I promise you it will. Because we're finding out who we are. And we're headed for a golden age better than the first golden age. Because you'll be there. And I can't wait to spend it with you. I love you. I appreciate you. I'll see you again on Wednesday. And I salute you for being here, seeking after truth.